In the modern world, power is not measured just by how many tanks or aircraft carriers a nation has, but by the smallest, most essential components inside them. Think about your smartphone, an F-35 fighter jet, or the batteries powering an electric car. None of these exist without a small, obscure, and highly critical group of elements known as rare earth minerals. These 17 elements, things like neodymium and thorium and cerium, are the essential ingredients for almost all high-tech magnets, advanced optics, and sophisticated military guidance systems. They are the oil of the 21st century, and without them, the digital world stops entirely. For years, the United States and the Western world viewed these minerals merely as a mining issue, a dirty commercial commodity best left to others. In the 1980s and 90s, the US willingly dismantled its own domestic processing industry, seeking cheaper, faster sources overseas. But China saw these minerals not as a commodity, but as a strategic weapon. Through decades of focused government subsidies, lax environmental regulations, and a relentless push to undercut global prices, Beijing systematically seized near-total control over the global supply chain. They now control over 80% of the world's rare earth processing. This isn't just dominance, it's a monopoly on the foundations of the future. The US can design the most advanced fighter jet or the fastest microchip, but if it can't get the minerals needed to build the magnet that powers the chip, the entire supply chain collapses. This single point of failure is America's deepest and most dangerous national security vulnerability. This isn't theoretical. These minerals are vital for the guidance systems on our laser-guided weapons, the high-performance engines on our drones, and the sophisticated sensors used in every naval vessel. The complacency of past administrations has left the most advanced military in the world strategically dependent on its primary geopolitical rival. Every time the geopolitical heat rises, the threat of China cutting off this supply becomes a chilling reality. They have already tested this economic weapon, subtly restricting exports to Japan during a territorial dispute in 2010, proving they are willing to use this leverage. This is the digital doomsday button that Beijing controls entirely. Imagine a sudden, unilateral move by China to halt all exports. Within months, production lines for everything from Tesla cars to the entire F-35 production line would slow to a crawl, creating a shockwave that would paralyze the US defense industrial base and the global economy. This isn't a theory about what might happen in a war. This is a clear and present economic and military threat. China holds the keys to the future of technology and defense, and the world has willfully handed them the checkmate position. The day the news hits the markets is absolute, unmitigated chaos. Citing an immediate need for domestic environmental remediation and a national security review of strategic exports, China announces a complete, unilateral halt on the export of processed rare earth minerals. This is not a negotiating tactic. It is an act of economic warfare disguised as regulatory compliance. Instantly, the price of neodymium, dysprosium, and terbium, the minerals essential for electric vehicle magnets, missile guidance systems, and high-performance radar, skyrockets by over 1,000%. Panic grips manufacturers from Detroit to Silicon Valley. The initial impact on the United States is swift and crippling, revealing the devastating effectiveness of China's strategy. Within 2 weeks, defense contractors deliver a stark, horrifying warning to the Pentagon. Production lines for the Javelin anti-tank missile, the Aegis radar systems used on Navy destroyers, and the crucial laser-guided weapons are facing catastrophic shutdown. The US Air Force realizes with chilling clarity that its most sophisticated precision-guided munitions will soon run out of the magnets needed for their internal systems. This isn't a theoretical shortage. This is an immediate operational crisis that directly compromises America's military readiness. The US has few short-term options. The Strategic National Stockpile, built decades ago and neglected ever since, is revealed to be a mere fraction of the nation's needs, enough to last the defense industry for only a few desperate months. The debate inside the National Security Council is pure bedlam. The president is faced with an unprecedented dilemma. There is no military solution to this economic siege. Generals demand urgent diplomatic de-escalation, desperate for the supply flow to resume before defense production flatlines. Yet, political hawks demand immediate, crippling financial sanctions on Chinese trade, risking a global recession and guaranteeing a prolonged, painful resource siege. The true strategic humiliation is the realization that America has been strategically checkmated. We were so focused on building the high-tech weapons that we forgot to secure the foundations. The only sustainable solution is a massive, multi-billion-dollar effort to rebuild domestic mining and processing capabilities, a process that takes 5 to 7 years to bring online. The US is cornered, forced to choose between compromising its geopolitical stance to negotiate for survival, or plunging its own industrial base into a catastrophic crisis to maintain its sovereignty. The rare earth war has exposed the fatal flaw in America's modern economic strategy, proving that the silent weapon is often the most destructive. The immediate crisis over the rare earth embargo eventually subsides, but the world that emerges is fundamentally and irrevocably changed. The event serves as the ultimate geopolitical wake-up call for the United States and its allies. The era of comfortable, complacent global dependency is officially over. This crisis triggers the most profound, costly shift in global trade since the Cold War. Nations realize that total economic reliance on a strategic rival is an existential vulnerability. The US, Europe, and key partners like Japan launch a massive, coordinated effort to decouple their critical supply chains from China. This is a strategic pivot of historic proportions, requiring trillions of dollars in years to achieve. The goal is simple: self-sufficiency in defense and technology. The focus shifts entirely to building secure, ethical domestic mining and processing capabilities. Alongside massive investment in recycling technology to reclaim these vital elements from discarded electronics, the new arms race is no longer just about building faster jets. It's about building secure, reliable supply chains, and the clock is ticking on who can get there first. The geopolitical chessboard is reshuffled entirely. America turns its diplomatic focus to securing new, non-Chinese partnerships. Nations with untapped rare earth reserves like Australia, Canada, Vietnam, and Brazil suddenly find themselves with immense strategic leverage. The US is forced to offer unprecedented trade deals, military aid, and technological expertise in exchange for guaranteed mineral access, essentially weaponizing its alliance network to counter China's economic siege. The war becomes a high-stakes competition for resource control across the global south, creating a new, rigid economic divide in the world. In the end, this red zone scenario proves a chilling truth. The biggest threats to a modern superpower do always come from visible weapons. They come from the control of invisible, indispensable resources. China exposed the soft underbelly of the West, its technological dependency, and demonstrated that control over the supply chain is the ultimate 21st century weapon. The world has learned a brutal lesson. Economic warfare is real, it's devastating, and it has already permanently redrawn the map of global power. The age of unbridled globalism is finished, replaced by an era defined by resource security.